Experiments to measure rates of reaction. So the first experiment is measuring the volume of carbon dioxide gas given off in a reaction such as calcium carbonate and hydrochloric acid. So this syringe would measure the volume of CO2 given off, and you'd obviously measure the time, and then you could calculate the rate of reaction. The next experiment is recording the change in mass when you have a gas produced. So in this flask here we have magnesium and hydrochloric acid. That's going to produce hydrogen gas. The gas will escape from the top of the flask and the mass will decrease, and you could measure the change in mass over time. And finally, we have a clock reaction, such as the reaction of sodium thiosulfate with hydrochloric acid. When you mix them in the flask, you look down from the top of the flask, and as sulfur is precipitated, the cross will gradually become obscured, and then you'd measure the average time taken for the cross to be obscured. So from the experiments that we just looked at, you could use the results to plot a graph. So for example, in the reaction of calcium carbonate and hydrochloric acid, where carbon dioxide is produced, you could plot on the y-axis the product concentration, so it'd be increase in volume of carbon dioxide, and on the x-axis you'd plot the time. On the right we have a graph of reactant concentration over time. You could also plot the change in mass from an experiment where a gas is produced, for example, and on the y-axis you'd plot the change in mass of the reactants, and on the x-axis you'd plot time. And you'd have a similar shaped curve to this one.